But for Tea Partiers already fed up with this endless government spending and what they call mainstream capitulating, enough is enough. Philip Dennis is with the Dallas Tea Party, Julianne Thompson with the Atlanta Tea Party. Julie, to you first, what do you make of this? And I think it was you who had said not too long ago, if you blink, they will spend. Republicans blinked, right?
Well, Neil, I think, first of all, thank you for having me on today. And I just want to say that I think that the vast majority of Americans are sick and tired. They have had enough of politicians that campaign one way and govern another. And right now it would seem that congressional Republicans think that standing for absolutely nothing is going to give them more of a broader appeal. But standing for nothing never won an election. And right now Congress is looking at a 13% approval rating, according to Gallup.
Well, Philip, they say that if they continued standing the way you guys stand for stuff, they'd be down to 3% approval. And they're saying essentially that Tea Parties have cost them valuable time to make their case on health care, all of this stuff, and that it's guys like you, no offense, that have sort of messed things up. So they're ignoring you, essentially.
Well, yes, I think that they are, and they're beating up on heroes like Ted Cruz and Mike Lee and Rand Paul, people that have stood for something, people that have become heroes to the American citizens. All you have to do is look at the filibuster from a year ago to see how Republicans and conservatives and many Democrats stood behind the three of them during that.
To Philip on that summit, Philip, if you could just pipe down, we're trying to do this here. But do you agree with that, Philip? Do you think that message is getting through, or now they've just had it with you and that they're risking your wrath by saying the hell with you?
Yeah, well, I've said it before, Neil, is that the only people that hate the Tea Party more than the mainstream propaganda media and the Democrat Party is the Republican Party. And so, yeah, they've had it with us, and we've had it with them, is that, you know, there is no way the Republicans are going to try to rein in spending. They just passed a debt limit increase, and without even one symbolic dollar of spending cuts.
Well, they say that it would have led to a government shutdown. Fairly or not, it would have been pegged to them, and they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to take any of the momentum they sense they're getting going into the fall with Obamacare front and center.
Well, because they're whipped dogs. And what we're seeing as the American people is that there's very little difference between the parties. They only like to waste money on different things between the Democrats and the Republicans. So, no, and that's why you see so many Tea Party fiscal conservatives primarying the Republican establishment and congressmen that have been up there for 15 or 20 years and watched our debt go to $17 trillion. And they have no problem. The Republicans cutting spending is as likely as Michael Moore winning a gold medal in Sochi in the downhill ski. It's just not going to happen.
It's not impossible, but I understand what you're saying.
It is impossible.
All right, Julianne, yes. Where does this put the president right now? Obviously, he's seizing the initiative. He's feeling, for whatever reason, that Republicans are not going to balk too much on spending, so he proposes more spending, and then we see this $1 trillion farm bill that became law last week, more talk of infrastructure spending, and bragging about a deficit that's coming down. So the trend is his friend. The polls seem to be stabilizing. What do you make of that?
You know, I really don't understand how Republicans in Congress right now can acquiesce to so much of what they campaigned against when they were running. I fear for the future of our country. I fear for my children that they're not going to enjoy the same free America that I have and that my parents have. And it's just, I really fear for our country. And, you know, going back to what I said before concerning Senator Ted Cruz, all you need to look at is what happened recently with regard to the debt ceiling. You had Republicans essentially voting no along a party line because they knew that they could go home and they could tell their constituents they voted no, when in actuality they wanted to raise the debt ceiling. Otherwise, 5 Republicans wouldn't have crossed over with Democrats to stop the filibuster on Senator Cruz. And right now, they're turning Senator Cruz into a pariah in Washington, and he is a hero to so many of us.
Julianne, Cruz, you like Cruz?
I like Cruz because he stands for something.
Okay, I'm sorry, but Chris Christie is not your guy, Philip, is that right?
And no, Chris Christie is not my guy at all. He's just the latest big government moderate that the Republican establishment wants to serve up as cannon fodder for Hillary Clinton in 2016. Haven't we seen enough of the Mitt Romneys and the John McCains and the Bob Doles and the big government moderates that they lose every time they go up? Even George Bush won because he campaigned as a conservative, although he governed somewhat differently. But conservatives win and conservative fiscal practices win, and they work, while the big government moderates lose. It's just